Okay. Sorry, I'm still going live here. Okay, we are live in 3, 2, 1. Okay. We're live. The floor is ours.
Well, I'd just like to welcome everybody in to Buckeye Valley Sports. This is our first podcast, one of many. We're going to be going over
Introduce yourself. This
a
is
lot.
This is Taryn, my brother, and we're going to talk about some football here today.
Yep, we're going to be covering mainly the Buckeyes, but Big Ten in general. Also a little bit of AFC North, maybe Bengals specific. But as a whole, football. So let's just get right into it. Buckeyes looked really good last night. I know it was Western Michigan, but you really can see a lot of their quality of traits they have as a team. Starting with Cody Simon. Cody Simon is a Blocko recipient. That goes to the most outstanding senior of every class. They've been doing it for about 4 years. So Cody Simon missed last week due to an injury. Back this week, and first possession gets a sack, and that is huge. I mean, he literally changed.
made a
He
statement.
changed his. Yeah, he made a statement for that defense and what he brings to the table as a leader and a captain of that defense. He's been number 30 forever, and actually changed his number to 0 because that's the block O. That signifies that. So I thought he did really well, but getting a sack on the first possession like that really, sets the tone for that defense.
Yeah. I thought so. Week 1 Buckeyes. Who do we play? I can't. Akron.
So we played Akron.
I thought we started very slow.
We did
in the first half, especially. But this game, we really came out firing, and like you said earlier, you set the tone early, and that contributes to the rest of the team for the rest of the entire game. I mean, really, it was all gas, no breaks.
Yeah.
The rest of the game.
Yeah, and that's what happens when you start out fast like that. You set the tone for the rest of the game. You set the energy. You get the crowd into it. The coaches believe in it. They want to do more risky plays. They want to send zone blitzes at it, and just trust the guys more. Because last week at Akron, halftime was 17-3. A couple plays go a different way. It could have been 17-10 really, really, really fast.
Yeah.
We finished strong, but coming out the gate like this in Akron, or not Akron, sorry, Western Michigan.
Right.
They looked like they knew what they were doing.
Yeah, they came out with heavy adjustments from week 1, I feel like.
Yes.
And it showed a lot.
Whether that be, personnel, whether that be, simple as like who plays the slot corner at nickel. And for a few years now, we've seen Jordan Hancock, and Jordan Hancock played his ass off yesterday. He was just flying around the ball. I think a couple refs told him a couple times to pick his head up because he was just coming in spearing people.
Yeah.
And that's a 190-pound corner trying to just lay the wood on people.
Yeah.
And it's exciting
trying to hit like
to be
truck.
a Buckeye fan. It's exciting to be a Buckeye fan when you see those kind of plays, whether someone's got 20, 30 pounds on you and you just don't care. You're out there with your brothers, you're out there with your team, your family, and you're willing to die out there. And that's what I've seen, even playing at Western Michigan.
Yeah,
I've seen brotherhood.
I was going to touch on that. also because even though it's a small school, not necessarily a great competition there, he's still playing 110%.
Correct.
And
We
that's
came into
important.
that game expecting to win, but these guys understand that, you know, even though it's Saturday, any given Sunday, you could lose.
Yeah.
We've seen it time
Yeah.
and time again. We watched Notre Dame lose to Northern Illinois last night too.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
See
that's
some
that tone.
upsets, big
Yeah,
upsets yesterday.
yes, we did. We watched Illinois uh, take on a ranked opponent and win. Um, those When you go into a game and expect to win and you think you can give 75%, you're going to get upset, especially in college football right now. It's
Right.
it's anybody's championship right now.
So T Dog, he made some notes and he sent them to me, and one of the biggest notes is the Texas game. And did you watch the Texas game, or do you have
I
anything
I,
to
I watched I
add
watched
on
the
to it?
Texas game for a little while.
What do you have
Um,
to say about that? Because it was
First and foremost, um, that team up north's got a quarterback problem. They
mm-hmm.
really, they got, I believe his name is Davis Warren. He's struggling right now, and then they tried to put in their second string named Orgy. He's also struggling. So they got some issues up there in Ann Arbor that they got to figure out quick. Because the
Yeah.
quarterback is the captain of the team, not just the offense. The
Right.
team. The
Yeah.
quarterback is the most important position.
Absolutely agree
If
with that.
you lack there, your whole team is going to suffer from that.
I absolutely agree with that.
So Texas's offense is very, very powerful. Um, they're ranked number 3 and they're deserving of that. They will be a top 5 opponent the rest of the season.
Yeah.
What Quinn Ewers has done in a couple years with Steve Sarkisian, he understands the goal. And Steve Sarkisian's got a great offensive background. He used to be the offense coordinator for Bama, played with Nick Saban, and then he took over the role at Texas. And with their recruiting in the transfer portal, they look good. They
Mm-hmm.
look good.
Yeah.
And Michigan got embarrassed yesterday because they had no offense at all. They can't run. They can't throw. They're dealing with quarterback problems. And Texas picked that defense apart.
That's a great explanation. But
So
before we
Texas looks good. Michigan, they got a couple things to work out.
right, yeah. I think last I'd say 2 years, 2 maybe 3 years, the team up north they've had a great team, and whether or not all the allegations, put all that shit aside, they've had good teams. Like, don't get me wrong,
Right.
they've been a great ball team, but this year I didn't watch any of the game. I saw some of the highlights, but they looked just like you said. They have some stuff to work out.
And as much as it pains me to say this, JJ McCarthy is a good quarterback,
He
and
is,
he's a
yeah,
winner.
yeah.
And some people are born winners, some people are not. That kid is a winner,
Mm-hmm.
and he spent 3 long years there at Michigan, and they took it to Ohio State for 3 years in a row now. And now that he's
Yeah,
gone, you're seeing that absence in quarterback play, and it
I
shows.
think they've relied on him
Yeah,
maybe a little too much, and now they're
and
they're paying the
they had a
price.
good running game. They had a good offensive line. I watched that offensive line kind of push around Washington in the national championship last year, and it's two different levels from Big Ten to Washington was in the Pac-12 last year.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's two different levels of skill, and Michigan, allegations set aside, they did it all. They went undefeated. They won the Natty. Um, they had a good team. They did.
Yeah,
Now that you've graduated a lot of those players, you've graduated Blake Corum. You lost one of your stud running backs.
Yeah.
Now you're dependent on Edwards back there, and he really has not shown up like everybody expected to.
Yeah.
So even with like a bad quarterback play, you can lean on that running game to open up the play actions, open up the screens, stuff like that. And the running game's not there for Michigan right now either.
Yeah,
So,
it's hard once all your upperclassmen graduate. I feel like to recover, but I mean not knocking on anybody's door, but that's all on recruiting. Also, you know, you need to look ahead and see who's available, see who's coming up. And I feel like Ohio State does that very well, to where, you know, we could have a fourth string that can come out and just show out, just show up, you know, run the ball, do whatever.
and that kind of brings me back to the Ohio State team and playing kind of a tune-up game in the first couple of weeks, because you can see that depth that they built on the roster, whether that be through the transfer portal, through recruiting. You know, Ohio State's top 5 nationally recruiting every single season. So it was kind of fun to watch. His name's Julian Sand. He's a third-string quarterback. Come in there, and he threw a touchdown pass. That is a 5-star recruit that got He started out at Bama, transfers to Ohio State this season. He's a true freshman.
I never got to
And
see him play, but
it was towards the end. He only played, I think, 2 possessions, and one of them was a rushing touchdown by one of the running backs, and then the last one he was a play action pass, roll it to the left, found a tight end wide open, and as soon as he threw it, the camera angle, when you watch the replay, he threw his hands up. He knew the guy was wide open, and he put the ball right on the money. And you know, that's what's exciting for me, is to watch these young guys late in these games, because that's your starters for next season.
right, or even 2-3 years from now, if they
Yeah,
stick around with the organization.
If they stick around. And I think, you know, what Ryan Day has built in Columbus is something special that not a lot of teams have, because you got to think of all the seniors that came back this season that could have went to the draft as juniors. You know, you got Denzel Burke at corner. You got Iggy at corner. You got Lathan Ransom at safety. You got JT and Jack Sawyer at the defensive line. You got Travion. You got Emeka. You got, I mean, I'm sure the list goes on, but that's 6 or 7 guys that probably would have been within the first 3 rounds of the draft. And they said, no, we got unfinished business here. I'm coming back.
Let me ask this. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to kind of touch on Travion and his leadership, because they went out in the transfer portal and got 3 big-time transfers. They got Caleb Downs at safety, transferred to Alabama. They got Quinshon Judkins from Ole Miss, and they also got Will Howard from Kansas State. And when Quinshon Judkins was in conversation to come to Columbus, the coach asked whether it be Chip Kelly or Ryan Day. They had a sit-down meeting with Travion and said, are you okay with this? Because Travion's number 1 running back, and they're talking about bringing in a stud that's basically the same age. You know, Quinshon's a junior, Trey's a senior, and Trey said, if it helps the team win, bring him in.
That's amazing.
The team, there's one goal, and it's that golden trophy at the end.
Yep. Absolutely.
And, you know, because I really respect and like Travion's game, but he's got some injury problems. So if he's good for 7 weeks, Quinshon needs to come in later in the season, then Trey's back in the playoffs, something like that. Yeah. God forbid. I don't want him to get hurt, but you got to think this is a longer season than we've ever had with the expanded playoffs.
Yeah.
You've got to think about long term.
Yeah, it's gonna be different for sure. I think. So I was gonna ask this because I was looking at our schedule. Do we have a game next week? Or
it may be a bye, but the next opponent is Marshall.
Pretty sure we're on a bye next week, so we have a week of rest, and then we have Marshall, and then we have Oregon. So
I believe Iowa's in between Marshall and Oregon. I could be wrong.
yes, it is. You're
Iowa
correct.
was our
You're
fourth
correct.
opponent.
You're correct. So get into your guy, Jeremiah Smith. What is something that you saw in him that you, is he special? Like
He's special.
best receiver at Ohio State history. He's a freshman walking on and just absolutely dominating in that last game last night. I mean, he was lights out.
So since this is our first podcast, let's break it down. Let's go back even into history of what has happened.
Sure,
so
yeah.
this kid comes to Ohio State December, January, gets to lift all winter long, then gets to practice in the spring. He's there for the spring game, and then he's there for summer ball. So, at first, he, was kind of shadowed. A lot of people thought that, we're not going to overhype this guy. And then when he came in, and then you just see all these one-handed catches, and he's beating these senior corners that stayed that I just mentioned earlier with Burke and Iggy. And he's beating these guys by 2 or 3 yards on post routes or corner routes, streaks, and even Ryan Day was asked many, many times over that long period since he's been there up until this summer, is the hype real? And Ryan Day, being very classy, well-spoken individual, he's
Ryan
watering
Day.
it down.
Yeah.
He doesn't want him to be the highlight.
Right. Stay humble.
Similar to when Marvin Harrison Jr. got there.
Stay humble.
They said, he's young. Let's see what he can do. But his time will come. And then later into the summer, Ryan Day was asked again, like, hey, is this guy going to play? Is this guy going to start? Ryan Day just smiled, and he's like, I can't hide it anymore. I can't. You guys have seen too many videos of this kid in practice, not just in what he did in high school. Yeah, he's going to start. A true freshman is going to start. Marvin Harrison Jr. did not start as a freshman.
Right.
And you see where he ended up
he's a freak.
Talented he was as a sophomore and a junior. Marvin may have had a little bit more talent in front of him with Olave, Garrett Wilson, Jackson Smith, and Jigba.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Marvin's a good receiver group.
His turn a little bit.
Yeah.
But right now, Jeremiah Smith is the third best receiver on this team. And he's proven to probably be the one or the two, but he's still got that senior class in front of him. So he's got a Mecca in front of him as a senior. He's got Carnell Tate. Tate's above him as a junior.
He's got stuff to prove, for sure.
But he's amazing. So going back to the Akron game with Jeremiah, first opportunity for a catch in the collegiate world, he drops it. Dropped it.
Yeah.
It was an easy little screen behind. It was like a wide receiver screen where he's coming towards the line. He catches it. He's supposed to turn upfield, maybe get 10, 12 yards out of it. Hits him right in the belly. Drops it. Ryan Day was asked about that, and Ryan Day said no one said anything to him. No one got on him. Jeremiah Smith didn't get mad. They were all kind of shocked that he dropped it, but nobody said a word to him.
That dude is, how old is he? He's got to be 18.
He's 18. He's
18 out at OSU on the field starting.
Yeah. There's got to be some nerves.
Yeah, man. Like, you got to get those first couple plays out, catch a pass, drop a pass, whatever. But once you get through that,
the way they said they didn't even talk to him, they didn't even get on him. Brian Hartline's a tremendous wide receiver coach. He didn't get up in his face. Hey, you need to catch that. They just knew he was going to take care of business.
Yeah, and he did. And he did.
And he did.
Jinx. He literally did.
Yeah, caught 2 touchdowns opening game. And then what he did last night when he showed that speed, that pure
Spectacular.
ability, that breakaway speed, he's a problem. He's going to be a problem for a lot of defenses.
Yeah.
And then you got all these other guys behind him with Emeka, Carnell Tate, Brandon Ennis, and then your tight end room stacked too on top of these running backs.
Yep.
I would not like to be a defensive coordinator going up against the Buckeyes this year.
No, I wouldn't either. Just got rid of Stover, so what's our tight end room looking like?
We got a guy that transferred. I'm probably gonna mispronounce his name. I think it's Camara. That doesn't sound right, but he's a senior tight end. He's going to be the starter. Well, G. Scott's probably our starter, number 88. G. Scott's been there for a long time. He's a senior. Started out kind of a receiver, kind of got some more body mass and transferred to a tight end.
Yeah.
And him and that other guy, I cannot think of how to pronounce his name, are going to be the one of the two. Outside of that, you have a really good stud, number 15, Damian Witten. He's a true freshman, maybe a sophomore. Very, very talented. And then you also have Jelani Thurman. I think Jelani Thurman's number 15. Jelani Thurman came from a big-time high school, and they're going to see a lot of reps. Those guys are.
So looking ahead, I mean, next we have a bye week, and then Marshall. So we have a week of rest. Marshall, which it should be an easy week. Easy game. Clearly a win. And then we go into Oregon. What's your biggest, what's your notes on Oregon? How's the game going to go? What's going to be our focus going into Oregon week?
Oregon's a tough team. They have a transfer quarterback with Dylan Gabriel. He's proven himself at other schools so far. I believe he played at Oklahoma before Oregon, and he transferred to Oregon this season. Oregon's got a tremendous head coach. It's going to be a heck of a game.
It's going to be a dogfight.
I know Oregon kind of struggled week 1 against Idaho, but I think they could bounce back from that. It's not going to be a walk in the park for us by any means. It's going to be probably one of our toughest opponents this year outside of Penn State.
I think so too. And even going in, because that would be week 4, going into probably, some would say the toughest opponent of the year. Buckeyes versus Oregon.
They have said game of the year.
I've heard
in the regular season for that.
You've told me that also, and that is, I'm not going to doubt that. I think it's going to be an absolute dogfight. Under 25 points, I'd probably imagine. I mean, both teams are going to be just absolutely locked in.
Potentially, because I think this defense for Ohio State is scary. With Cody Simon being there, and then this defensive line is just unreal. In the depth they have on that defensive line, they have a lot of seniors in there. They got Jack Sawyer, JT, Ty Hamilton, and then let me look back here. D-line. There's one guy I'm missing that I can't believe I'm missing. Tyleek Williams, number 91. Another guy that could have went to the draft this year. Decided to stay. They are a force to be reckoned with. And then you want to talk about their depth. I mean, they got Kirks, Mickens, and probably my favorite is Edric Houston. Edric Houston is also a true freshman, comes down south somewhere, 5-star recruit, number 1 defensive end in the nation. He got playing time in the last 2 weeks now. So he's seen the field. He's felt the pressure. He's felt what that crowd sounds like on that field. you got 105,000 fans.
Yeah, it's different from practice
There's a
field.
different noise down there.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. You can't even hear anything else but the crowd sometimes.
No,
But
you got a big third down, and that crowd gets up on their feet. It will shake that concrete
yeah.
stadium.
So before we get into the Bengals, or even just AFC North, is there anything else you want to touch on with the Buckeyes?
Um, one quick thing. Denzel Burke got a targeting call. Um, they got to figure out this targeting. It was a play where a receiver caught it towards the sideline. Caleb Downs came in first, and then Burke kind of came in to like clean it up. He did not lead with the crown of his helmet, and that to me is the rule. If you lead with the crown of your helmet, that's when targeting can be called against you, and if it's confirmed, it's a disqualification. I did not see that. I seen him leading with the shoulder. He probably should have let up just a little bit because it was close to the sideline, but I did not like that call. And I think they need to figure out the targeting, and I'm all for player safety. But to me, that was not a vicious contact that should have led to a disqualification.
I'm trying to find the clip. I can't find that.
I think it was like second quarter, and Ryan Day was asked about it going into halftime, and Ryan Day kind of said the same thing, um, that Burke is a warrior. He's out there to fly around and make plays.
Yeah, he
He's
absolutely
upset.
is.
He's upset with himself, and he'll be back next week. But he had to sit out this whole game because of a call that I didn't feel that was justifiable. So, other than that, just kind of talking about getting these seniors involved early. These guys that chose to stay, get a
Right.
Mecca involved, get Trey involved. You gotta show the lower classmen that if you stick around this place, we will get you the ball if you're deserving of it.
Yeah,
Emeka could have been a second round receiver. I know he dealt with some injuries last year, but he was second string to Marvin Harrison Jr. And they were a great 1-2 punch when Emeka was healthy. But other than that, I just kind of want to talk about Quinshon Judkins. I think he kind of struggled week 1 against Akron.
man, he killed it last night, didn't he?
Yeah, he looked good.
He killed
And
it.
that's the same thing I was just saying about getting your seniors involved to show your loyalty to them.
Yeah.
Show that loyalty to these transfers. If you want to come here, I promise you I will get you the ball if you're deserving of it. Quinshon, very deserving of it. Had 100 yards and 2 touchdowns.
He did a lot last night.
Yeah, and he only had I think he only had like 14 or 15 carries. He doesn't need to be that 30 carry running back like he was at Ole Miss.
Right.
We're going to treat you guys as a two-headed snake here, as a 1-2 punch. And it was exciting to watch.
Yeah, me too. Because I didn't
play like he played last night. I thought he was going to play like that against Akron, and he struggled against Akron. I think he was less than 4 yards a carry at Akron.
Yeah, last night
he was in the 8s, 9s.
I didn't even know his name before last night. But
you know his name.
I figured out real quick. I said,
yeah.
Who's this cat fucking carrying the ball? Every time he gets it, 10, 15 yards, and then boom.
Putting his head down, putting a move
gone.
On people. He played very, very well. And kind of also to talk about the depth, this James Peoples kid, he's a third-string running back now. He's had 2 touchdowns in 2 weeks now. True freshman. I mean, he's another 5-star recruit.
Yep.
Third string. You're backing up some serious talent with Trey and Quinshon, but next year could be his. Here's the keys to this running back room.
Yep.
And he's proven to be the next guy.
Buckeyes do very well
So
with recruiting.
you're going out there to win that specific game you're playing. You cannot look ahead to the Oregon game when you're playing Western Michigan.
Mm.
But you got to get your young guys involved early in the season, and even in the Oregon game when we're not blowing somebody out, put James Peoples in there for 2-3 drives, just
Why
for
not?
one to kind of confuse the
Exposure.
defense, and also
Exposure.
to kind of give him reps, give him live real time reps.
Exposure counts a lot, especially at the end.
Yeah,
Say someone gets hurt, and I mean, God forbid they get hurt, but what if he needs to go in? Does he have that exposure? Say we're going against, just for example, Oregon or like Michigan. He needs that exposure to go out there and perform.
right.
Perform early. I love that. That note there. Get your. You said seniors. I take that as your number one. Like your number one team needs to be out there. They need to have exposure. They need to get their reps, like you said. And
Right.
Just so they can perform
know-
later in the year if they need to.
Yeah, and go back to Quinshon. Quinshon had a touchdown that was called back, and it just seemed like his composure and the team's composure, because that's easy to hang your head on and be selfish.
Yeah.
Whether I think it was like a holding call or something like that, or a block in the back, and it's easy to hang your head. Everyone showed great composure,
Yeah.
even on a negative play like that. When you get a touchdown called back, that sucks.
Yeah.
But the team chemistry there that I seen last night was, it's
So-
all right. You're good. You're
So
good.
went
We'll get
right,
it next time.
Right back to the line.
Yep, let's run it again. And
It was like
So that was cool watching that.
2 plays later,
even
he scored. Or was that the next drive?
I think he's maybe in the next drive.
I think it was the next drive, but he ended up scoring big again. But
Yeah.
no flag that time. He actually
Right.
they actually finished.
And there was another one that, because I watch the team, like just the Quinshon get called back. I watch the team's attitudes and their chemistry together. And I remember last night when Carnell Tate caught a big pass, the whole team was dapping him up. The whole team.
Yeah.
And that just shows the love and the brotherhood that this team has, because they go out there as warriors.
Yeah.
It's a violent sport, and everybody just seems like they have everybody's back. They all bought in. They're all there for one purpose. Even Will Howard, he's played really, really well in the last 2 weeks.
He impressed me last night a lot.
He did. I liked him in the Akron game, just being in the pocket. If a guy or two gets loose and he's got to make a move, his effort is there.
Yeah.
And last night because you never know about transfer quarterbacks. You never know until they get there. You can watch all the
Right.
film of the previous team. You don't know what kind of atmosphere that locker room was in.
Yeah, it's way different.
And last night when Will Howard he ran it in, he flashed the OH. He did the hand signaling in the end zone. And that told me right there, this dude's all in. This dude is a Buckeye. He has been accepted by this team. He's
Yeah.
accepted the starting role. He's humble. He's composed.
Yeah.
And flashing that OH in the back of the end zone after he just ran it in and dove, that tells me he's all in.
Yeah. He impressed me a lot. I'm going to say it again. He impressed me a lot. Not just as far as... I always compare it to last year. I always do that. Maybe that's wrong of me to do that. But last year's quarterback, I'm not going to name his name, but this guy is... I mean, he's out there throwing darts. Once again, it's not the greatest competition as far as team-wise, but this guy's throwing darts, and I feel like everyone's connected this season. I've not
Yep.
had that feeling for a long time.
A long time. Even when Stroud was there, I didn't feel like we were the
Yeah,
chemistry we have now.
same here. It's been years,
And last
years.
year was a little different with I'll say his name, Kyle McCord.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
just I didn't feel like the team bought in
I don't. Yeah, I don't think he.
when
I
they
don't think
played.
he bought in. He
I
necessarily
don't either.
cared about the outcome of what happened.
Yeah, and he's doing good at Syracuse right now. And
Yeah,
and this is, like I said, this is any given Saturday. Anything can happen.
right.
The coaches are out there to put the scheme together and put the best players in the position to execute that scheme and hoping for the ultimate outcome.
Right.
Kyle McCord asked either Ryan Day or someone last year if he's going to be the starting quarterback next year. And the answer was basically no, because you have to earn it. I don't care that you
Yeah.
just played 12 games this year. You have to earn it. And he didn't like that. And
Greedy.
it that's the culture that we're trying to build here in
You're gonna earn your spot.
Buckeye Valley, is that you have to go out there and prove that you're supposed to be out there.
Yeah. You have to earn your spot. You can't just walk in as a 5-star recruit and say, "I should be starting over this guy."
Right.
Just because you did
That's
so
not how
much.
it works.
Just because you did so much last year at, say, example, another team. But yeah, you need to earn your shit. I mean, that's the bottom line. Every single school should be like that. And I feel like when I grew up and I watched the Buckeyes, they were all just like that. Everyone earned their spot, and you could see it because they lived for that shit. They really
Yeah.
did. They played their hearts out. It didn't
They
matter.
live for
It
that
didn't matter.
competition.
Yeah, nothing matters. You get on the field, it's lights out. They're locked in.
Yep.
Everything else gets shut off.
Yep. I totally agree. I mean, I remember playing football when I did, and I was neck and neck with a guy for starting running back, and it was all summer long. Just
Yeah.
emotionally, mentally, physically, just everything I freaking had. And I still remember this day when coach came up to me and said, "Hey, you got it. We're gonna put the other guy on defense." And that's I remember just the emotions I had to like, holy crap, that
Yeah.
just paid off.
You fought
Those
for
last
that.
4 months of fighting
Yeah.
I mean, there was never a day that someone just was sick that day, and just didn't come in. And if you
Right.
did,
You're
game
out.
over.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the competition level that they have started um, at Ohio State a long time ago. I've been watching. I remember watching the 2002 national championship in first grade, and I just remember that competition. You could see it on the field. You take a play off, you're going to sit out for the next 3 plays.
Yeah.
It's like a punishment
Right.
because the guy right behind you is begging for your spot. So
Exactly.
I'm excited, and I think the chemistry's there. I think the efforts there. They put in a lot of work, and even with Ryan Day's winning percentage right now, which is I think it's second behind Kirby Smart, he's on the hot seat because of he hasn't been able to beat his rival yet
Mm-hmm.
in the last 3 years.
Yeah. I
So
mean,
he's constantly pushed too. And even if you do beat your rival this year, it's still not good enough.
right. They always want more out of anyone.
Always want more.
Coach, player. I mean, they always.
I think
There's too many
the
comparisons.
goal. I think Urban Meyer's always said it too when he was coach at Buckeyes. You know, there's basically three goals, ultimate goals. Beat the team up north, win your conference, so conference championships,
Yep.
and then national title.
Yep.
And last year we didn't do any of those. So all 3 of those goals, actually in the last 3 years, we have not done any of those. So all 3 of those years are failures.
Yeah.
If you want to put that high of a standard, you failed.
Yeah.
You came up short.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it. I mean, I feel like this is Ryan Day's redemption year.
It is. It is.
Honestly, I feel like this is almost make or break at this point.
Oh, they were talking about it last year.
They were talking about it the year before too.
Short, then he's out.
They were talking about it the year before.
Like, whoa, guys!
Fire head coach.
He's like 58-8 right now, guys. Like,
yeah, he's not
a John Cooper back from the 90s.
He's not everything that ESPN tells everyone.
Yeah.
But anyways, let's move on to the Bengals, and then we're gonna finish up here.
Okay. This is the tougher topic.
Yeah, this is sad here because coming into today, I mean, I went to a preseason game. I'm pretty sure it was the last game they played in preseason. Burrow didn't play. Nobody important really played, but I was expecting this to come in and absolutely dominate the Patriots. You know, no Belichick. No Belichick.
Yeah.
And the Patriots are like, I mean, I'm still at a loss of words, but I still have shit to touch on. I just maybe you could say something because I really can't. There's nothing. I am so dumbfounded that we absolutely sold the game to where it almost looks scripted, dude. It really does.
It does, and I think a lot of it was mental errors. You know, you think about the fumble that we had at like the 1 yard line,
Just
with the tight end coming across the middle.
Little mistakes.
Yeah, if he tucks that ball,
he scores.
And gets tackled at the 1.
Even if that.
Even if he gets tackled at the 3.
Yeah.
Those extra yards that he was trying to get or whatever he was trying to do, I felt like the ball was a little far away. I like the Tiki Barber tuck. You know, it's a nice high and tight. It's against the pads, full pressure on the ball.
Almost up to your neck.
Yes.
Like up to your chin.
And just because you're playing on TV, you gotta have the fundamentals that you learned at Pee Wee.
Dude, it's
so he holds onto that ball and gets tackled at 3. That's a different ball game. Instead, trying to score, trying to dive, whatever he was trying to do. I don't know what was going through his head.
So he had the ball in his right hand, and there was a defender that he was going to tackle him low. So he basically swim moved over him with the ball in his hand, not tucked. It was like on his, palmed it over that guy, and then the second guy came from behind him
and popped it out.
He was at the 1 yard line.
Yeah.
And he fucking punched it out, and then there it is. It's a turnover.
And little mental errors like that can make or break a game in the NFL.
And it did, dude. There's a lot of shit that they need to work out.
Yeah.
I mean,
I thought the offensive line looked okay. I did not like the running game. There was a couple, bursts that they had on that scoring drive.
Towards the end, they had the O-line. So to start the game, O-line was non-existent at all. Like, they may as well have not showed up. Giving Burrow, 0.7 seconds to throw the ball. If you want to run the ball, you can't because they're already behind the line of scrimmage and behind our O-line before you can even hand it off. Halftime really did a lot for us, which I even said before halftime. They have a lot of talking to do. and
Right.
and it looks like they did. They made adjustments. They looked fresh. O-line looked a lot better. Burrow had more time. He made more targets to chase. And other receivers, like the tight end, like he made plays happen. And even the run game started to come through, but still just lacking. Like, there's just there's no gumption today.
Yeah.
And it pissed me off. It still pisses me off because, dude, that team was supposed to come out and beat them by like 40.
I think we had the better team with the Bengals. Skill wise, maybe they put a better game plan together. But, all the way across the board, I felt like, other than special teams, I think we won special teams. That punter.
Yeah. Oh my God. The punter is the best punter in Bengals history. He broke the record on his first. Was it his first punt? Maybe the second punt.
First or second.
80 yard punt. Broke Bengals history.
And that's huge because then you're putting your defense in a lot better spot.
But the defense was on the field for how long? 10 minutes of game time? They're gassed by the time they get in the red zone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see a lot of improvement.
What was the final score? 16-10? Does that sound right?
I think so.
16-10. So you look at it that way, not even watching the game, you're like, okay, well, defense played pretty good. Defense played pretty good, only allowing 16 points. Why did the offense only score 10? Burrow, I love Burrow. I think he's our franchise quarterback. We paid him to be a franchise quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
But too many checkdowns. And I understand he doesn't have time, but
even in the second half, I was seeing him, kind of one-dimensional. Got to throw to the check down.
It makes the completion percentage looks good, but I don't know if he threw for over 200 yards.
He did not.
But he threw, 67, 68% of his passes completed.
Yeah. Numbers like that, to me,
that tells me checkdowns. That tells me 5 yard little either like a slant or like a little screenplay.
To me, that percentage and shit like that, it really doesn't matter to me. I don't know if I'm wrong by thinking that way, but I'd say he looked better than he has. Burrow, talking about Burrow.
Other week ones.
Better than he has since, last time I saw him last year, trying to play through the calf injury, and then he had a wrist injury, whatever was going on.
Yeah.
I think
and the cameras kept showing him clenching his right fist. And if that is bothering him, then I remember watching as a kid, starting quarterbacks played freaking preseason. Week 1, there was 4 preseason games back in the day.
Yeah.
Week 1 of preseason, you played 1 drive. Week 2, you played the first quarter. Week 3, you played
right, and they don't do that. They don't do that anymore.
Week 4, you're playing until halftime.
They don't do that anymore.
And that's those growing pains that you're going to have to learn when you're getting live reps like that.
Especially when it comes to like O-line or even receivers.
Yeah.
DBs, at every single position, other than special teams like the kickers, they're not gonna get reps in the preseason like you and I think they should.
And I think that's what worked back in the day for Manning and Favre and Brady and even Rodgers. Rodgers has talked about it before. Like back in 10 years ago, I used to play a lot of preseason.
Now, not so much.
Yeah, and it showed. Because the first half of the Bengals game was lousy.
Mm-hmm.
Their offense looked no chemistry.
Non-existent.
No. Yeah. They They were not there. I mean, how long did it take for Chase to even get his first target?
Third quarter.
Like, this guy is in the middle of a contract dispute right now. And I understand he's a stud. Let him, express what he thinks he deserves and everything else.
Yeah.
But you got to put it on the field too, though. If you want top 5 money,
you
got to play like a top 5 receiver.
Right.
And today, I don't think he did. Last season, he was 12th in receptions, 12th in receiving yards. He only scored 7 touchdowns last season.
He's top 3 receivers if he plays and he's healthy and he plays right.
I think he's top 10. I don't think I would put him in my top 5 right now.
The way he played today,
5,
no. But
top 5, I would
it's
put
everyone together. That's the beauty about football.
Go through your top 5.
Top 5, number 1, I probably got Amon.
You don't even have to number.
Or Tyreek. So there's 2. Yep. Chase is in my top 5. Puka.
I would go
healthy. Puka.
I would go the guy that plays for the Rams.
Puka,
yeah. My top 5, I would go, Jefferson, Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams, that Puka guy, maybe even Jalen Waddle, top 5. What other big name am I forgetting?
Jamar Chase.
Stephon Diggs. I'd put him in my top 5.
Yeah.
I mean, I could probably sit here and get all the way up to 8 or 9 before I was forced to put Chase in there. And I own his jersey. I think he's a stud.
Yeah.
But production and stats and game on the line effort
does count, yes.
It counts for that.
Especially game on the line. I mean, if you're willing, I think he missed a block or something, or just didn't do anything on that screen pass. I think it was 4th and 3.
Yeah.
And so I didn't watch it. I walked outside.
I think he kind of missed that block, or the defense kind of won that battle.
Yeah.
But even they never showed the replay, but they called basically 12 men on the field during a punt.
Right after that. Yep. And Jamar was on the field.
Yeah, it was penalty on number 1. They never showed the replay. So first thing when I hear that, I'm thinking, okay, well, he's half-assing it. He's walking off the field or something stupid.
Yeah. So,
and truthfully,
go ahead.
He's got 2 more years before he needs a contract.
Yeah. He just wants to flex to be the highest paid receiver in the NFL. Or even a bigger contract, like, man. Even if you don't offer him, maximum amount, make him higher than who's the highest paid? Is it
I think
Justin
it's
Jefferson? So even if you're like, I know he wants the highest bid. But even if you offer him lower than that, see what he says. You know what I mean? And maybe they have it's hard to say what's behind closed curtains.
Yeah, because they don't talk about it a lot.
No,
I think they have offered him. This is just speculation. I think they did offer him something, and he didn't like it.
Detroit just ran.
And that's when he starts. That's when he starts sitting out.
Yeah,
because he's like, no,
he don't want to practice.
Yeah,
and I think he is, and I think
I do too.
These NFL players, they play for money. In the long run, that's their job.
Yeah.
So if you're getting paid more, you might go 110% all the time.
Yeah. It's just like a normal day-to-day job. You got to be worthy of that promotion.
Yeah.
If you want the company vehicle, if you want the promotion, if you want the title, you have to show that you're ready for that.
You have to earn it.
And here's the problem with longevity of especially receivers in the NFL nowadays. They only have about 10 to 12 years of production. So their biggest contract is the one right after the rookie contract.
Yeah.
Which is the one he's sitting at right now. He's saying, I want the biggest bang for my buck right now because
That's a
I'm
good
never going to
point.
get this money ever again.
That's a great point.
I don't know if he's ready. I don't know if he's worthy of it. I don't think he's top 3 money right now.
I would
Did
pay
he
him.
have what? He had less than 10 yards of catch today, right? I know it was a lot of screens,
Yeah.
quick passes, but 6 catches for like 50 yards or something. I don't have the stats in front of me.
I'll get you. He had 6 for 62.
6 for 62. So a little over a 10-yard average.
Yeah.
And that's also the game plan and schemes. He didn't have a catch till midway in the second quarter, or a target until then.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And I wrote some notes down before we started this. O-line. What the hell is going on with the O-line? And to add on to this, running game at all. What a lackadaisical run game we have with Zach Moss and Chase Brown, but that all starts at the O-line. That's why I kind of tied those two together. But Zach Moss he dropped a couple passes as a check down receiver.
Yep.
Once again, linking back to the check down because nothing else is open. But I think everything starts at the O-line for offense with the Bengals. It's not the entire problem, but if you get Burrow some time, somebody's going to get open because he has weapons.
He's got a lot of them.
And then the last thing I was going to touch on is the slow start. I don't know where that happened or how, but I've always been told my whole life the Bengals are a second half team, and it really fucking showed today. They showed up too late, not enough time in the game. There's nothing they can do except panic and fucking go for it. And unfortunately, you ran out of time.
Well, I didn't like the last drive the Bengals had. I think he got sacked quickly, maybe first or second down.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're faced with a 3rd and 10, and your goal line's right behind you. I mean, it's a long drive, but you got 3 minutes to do it. And he throws the check down for 5 yards.
Short.
When are we going to start thinking about where the sticks are at in game planning? You throw an 8-yard pass and hoping the guy can either break a tackle or just fall forward for the other 2.
Yeah. Dive.
Instead, you throw a 4-yard pass and he got 6 yards out of it.
Yeah.
I don't like that. I don't like that mentality of we'll just check it down and hope the defense can get a stop, because they didn't.
There's a lot to look forward to next week.
How many yards did the Patriots have on the ground? At one point, it was 160. I'm going to say they finished with 175, 180.
170.
170. 170 yards on the ground given up.
You don't see that very often.
That's bad defense.
Against the Bengals, especially.
And I think that we have a good core on defense with Pratt, Logan Wilson. The D-line's pretty stout.
Secondary's controlled by Cam Taylor-Britt. Like, he's a great leader
and you
on
got,
defense.
You got Von Bell back there.
Von Bell's back. Yep.
Dax Hill's out there. I mean, you have Hilton's there, right? 21, Mike Hilton.
Yep. He's pretty sure he's still there.
That's your leader right there, the guy that's got the most experience.
I think Cam Taylor-Britt is their.
He's our rising star right now.
He's their leader, though. He's awesome.
Yeah,
my next jersey will be his.
I agree.
And watch, he'll get traded. the year after. If you look at you break it down the stats, turnovers always lose games if you have turnovers and the other team doesn't. We had 2,
Correct.
Patriots had none.
Yep.
Yards
That's
per
2 possessions right there.
Yeah, yards per play about the same, 4.5, 4.7 for us. We're actually higher. Total plays, this is where defense gets involved. 64 for the Patriots. We had 48.
Yeah.
Penalties.
I remember seeing
we had less
midway
than the
through
Patriots.
second quarter, and Burrow had 3 pass attempts.
Yeah.
Midway through the second quarter. I mean, we were not on offense very long at all.
3 and out, and then the defense is on the field for 9 minutes.
Yeah.
Because they're driving, and we're not. We're playing.
Yeah.
Like they'll get a first down on 3rd down. So
Right.
that drive could last, up to like 9 minutes, which in football time is probably around 15 to 20 minutes.
And that's a lot of, conditioning, stuff like that. And
yeah.
I don't care how much you try to run in the summertime to be prepared for those times. You don't expect that.
Yeah.
Those long, lingering drives. And we had a couple, and like you said, the turnovers, they don't help anything.
Didn't finish.
I really thought Mike Gesicki's touchdown in the back corner of the end zone was caught. And then they showed the replay, and it's like, hang on a minute.
I hate the rule. I don't agree with the rule, but it's a good rule. I understand where the rule comes from. But
you have to maintain possession through the ground contact.
Yeah. I understand the rule. I don't agree with the fucking call. I want it to be a touchdown. I'm biased. We look at first downs, dude. We got our first down in the second, maybe 3rd quarter.
Yeah, it took forever.
We ended up with 13.
Yeah, how many of the Patriots have that? I guarantee they had over 20.
17.
17, okay.
Like, we were right there.
We were right there.
Time of possession, we had 10 minutes less.
And that's the difference maker.
They had 34, we had 25.
Back to the Buckeyes, it was last year, Ryan Day was commenting on something about how it's with like the play clock or something of that nature, where they're used to getting 9 possessions a game. Now they're getting 7. That's a big difference.
It is.
Of those 2 possessions, it's a big difference. So you're talking about a 10-minute time of possession advantage for the Patriots. That's going to make or break your team right there.
Right. If you look at...
Now, the last drive we had, instead of throwing that stupid-ass check down, we go down, put a drive together, 3 minutes long, go down and score 17-16. We walk out with a victory.
Correct.
We're 1 drive away. We're putting it all together, and then we win. We come a lot closer in the time of possession game. We probably beat them in first downs. And when you look back on a loss, it's like, okay, where did they beat us? Time possession, first downs, rushing yardage.
Defense.
3rd down conversions.
They beat us in the rushing game. 100%. If you look at Brissett's stats here, Brissett. He threw 24 passes, completed 15 of them for 121 yards.
That's a win for a defense. That's a good defensive effort in the secondary.
If
15
you look
to 24 right there. Just look at those 2 stats.
If you look at Stevenson, their running back, he averaged 4.8 yards a carry.
Yeah, but he had, 120 of those?
He had
120 yards?
25 attempts, 120 yards, yes.
Yeah, he played good. He played consistent. He didn't have those breakaway.
Consistent, yeah. I just mean, like, dude, they fucking broke us up on the ground. That's something to look for. But next week we got Chiefs, and I really wanted to go into Chiefs week with a W. just
Yeah,
to have
to
that
build off that.
confidence. And now we got to build back, and hopefully we make some major adjustments because they have one of the fastest running backs in the league with Pacheco
Yeah, Pacheco,
and a
and then
dangerous quarterback.
you got some speedy receivers with
Yeah.
Rasheem Rice, and then now Xavier Worthy. I don't know how Xavier Worthy went that late in the draft. They actually the Chiefs traded up to get Xavier Worthy from the Bills, and the Bills let them have that draft pick, and they took the Texas stud receiver
Yeah.
that played with Quinn Ewers last year. He broke the 40 time at a 4.21. He broke, what is it, John Ross that used to play for the Bengals that
Yep.
literally didn't ever show up.
Yep.
He broke his 40 time. I remember watching that live, and I'm like, holy cow.
Yeah, he's a fast kid.
Fastest kid in the NFL based on 40 times. Fastest kid ever based on 40 times.
Yeah. But I think I'm going to wrap this up. If there's anything else you want to touch on, I mean, I wrote some notes from the Ravens-Chiefs week. I mean, Chiefs O-line is piss poor. I will say that. They struggled against Baltimore's defensive line. So that's something to look forward to next week. Lamar looked amazing. I hate to say that.
Him and Derrick Henry is a scary combo.
It is. I felt like Baltimore's defense was like a C minus. Like they didn't really show out either. It was I would say high scoring game. I don't even remember what the final score was, but and then Chiefs D line, they look very good. I rated them an 8 out of 10. So that's concerning.
So it's funny you
very
8
concerning.
out of 10. So I will say, kind of back to the Buckeyes. Ryan Day has done this new thing this year, maybe last year, but this year's more talked about. They say, did they grade out as a champion? So it's 80% or better is a champion. So it kind of will be fun this year to analyze and evaluate individual players plus team efforts. If they're an 8 out of 10, they grade it out as a champion.
Yeah. Chiefs defense looks stout.
Yeah.
So if you want my actual ratings, Baltimore defense 6 out of 10. Chiefs, this is the only ratings I gave. Chiefs O-line 6.4. And then I just gave out a random I was drinking. QBR to Lamar 93. He didn't do anything crazy. It's just consistent. He's
consistent.
Run the ball, passing, making completions, making plays when nothing's there. I mean, he's two-dimensional quarterback. He's absolutely insane at what he does.
Yeah, he threw for more yards last year than he ever has in his NFL career. So he's getting better.
Yeah, they're saying they talk shit on him. They talk shit on him because he can't quotation pass. But look at, like you said last year, he can do it all.
Yeah, he threw for like 3,400 yards and still ran for like 800.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a scary guy to go against. So it'll be interesting to see what next week brings.
Yeah.
Bengals Chiefs, definitely a juggernaut. Let's see. It's been a little while since. I want it to be like a Peyton and a Brady competition.
Yeah.
And right now, Burrow's the only one that's been able to knock off the Chiefs a couple times now. So
he's only lost technically once because of last year to Mahomes.
Yeah.
But he
I
never
remember
played.
2 years ago, and I went and watched the regular season game. It was at Bengals. Chiefs came to town, and we beat them 27-24. And It was electric. I mean, that is
Yeah.
a non-divisional rival game that has created itself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's why I said rivalry. There's no doubt in my mind that this is a like you said, non-division rivalry. Chiefs Bengals. Burrow Mahomes, they've met many times.
Yeah.
And
And if you listen to some of their when they face each other in the playoffs, and a couple years when Burrow beat them,
yeah.
Mahomes says, "Hey, love you, bro. Love your game. Go win it all now." You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like they
They
have
have
that.
respect.
They have a lot of respect for each other.
Yeah. And that's what's cool too. Like it's not like they want to, beef with each other either.
No, but they know when they strap those helmets on, I'm going to beat you, and that's their
Yeah. It's
mentality on both
business.
sides. Yeah, business. So
Yeah, we'll see what next
it'll
week
be
brings.
interesting to see what happens. In the NFL, when you get a win, you get Mondays off. Bengals don't get Monday off.
Yeah.
Bengals are going to work tomorrow.
Right. No, as they should. They have a lot of adjustments to make,
And one of their biggest games coming up.
yeah, this is a huge, week 2 coming up.
You want to go on too? Or you want to actually act like you know what you're doing and actually use your talent around you. Hopefully
Yeah.
Higgins is back. Hopefully, Chase seems like he's ready to go this season.
Chase seemed healthy, and
We'll work out money later. Let's go take care of business.
Hell,
You go
dude.
out there and you catch 100 passes or 1,500 yards and 12 touchdowns, go win a Super Bowl. Here's your bag.
Yeah.
Here's your money.
Same with Higgins, but this is Higgins last year in Cincy.
I think they'll pay Higgins, but they're gonna pay him a lot less. And that's the other thing too, like
Higgins on a franchise tag.
which means they can still
lock
give him
him
a contract next year.
Yeah, whether or not he accepts it.
Right.
We
if he
pay
gets a better
Chase a
offer and thinks
BOGO
he's got a
amount.
better situation.
If we pay
And that's-
Chase a
that's-
BOGO amount, then that Higgins out the door.
I like the 1-2 punch that you had at receiver. And
I like
it's
Higgins
worked.
a
I
lot,
think that's
especially.
awesome to the playoffs.
I like Higgins a lot, especially in the red zone. Because, dude, you can highball that.
That boy's gonna
You
go
know.
over and get it.
You can throw it up to the corner 10 feet in the air, and that dude is going to catch it and score.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
He's
like
been-
9 times out of 10. The
He's been a
10th
stud
time,
for
maybe
them all
he'll
the time.
step out 1 foot.
You got to think where he came from too. Like he came from Clemson, playing with Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah. Good quarterback.
Yeah.
He's
So that's the other thing. You
dog.
got to show to these studs that think they're studs and they are studs that this is the place to be. There's not a better place. You don't want to go to Atlanta. You don't want
Yeah.
to go to the Patriots and think you're going to have a better situation there.
I think they want to
This
be
is-
with Joe, but they want to also be paid. Because they see people like JJ getting paid.
AJ
Or,
and Diggs getting paid.
yeah,
and
you name anyone.
No.
They're
Burrow,
all...
getting his bag. And,
Yeah.
got to make it appeasable to stay.
Right.
That's the
We'll see
first
what
thing I thought
happens.
of when Chase didn't have a catch till the second quarter. Like, okay, well, you got to put this guy in your game plan. You know
But
what I
he
mean?
also hasn't practiced with the team because he hasn't been paid. So, I mean, he's holding out. It's kind of, I'm going to say this in the wrong terms, but it's kind of a bitch move. But I understand at the same time, you see all these guys getting paid, you want to be paid. In my opinion, he's at least top 5 receiver in the NFL. Healthy Joe Burrow, he's there. But
Yeah.
I mean, holding out on practice, that's what you get. You're not going to have that same, click, click, boom.
Yeah, that step above that chemistry we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
not going to have that. I don't care that you played with Burrow for the last 7 years.
Yeah, I never once saw Joe Burrow fucking throw it deep to Chase on a streak, which that's like
That's
almost their
his bread and
go-to.
butter.
That's their bread and butter. I never once saw that today.
Nope.
But
I
all
did
right,
not.
I'm gonna wrap this up. Good talk. Unless you got more stuff to say,
No, not really.
but
Um,
I think we got a good wrap around everything.
yeah, good week 1 podcast. Again, this is Buckeye Valley Sports, first of many.
Buckeye Valley podcast.
We'll go with that. I liked it.